Hello everybody, my name is Brittany. Today I'm going to be going over my action research project, which is focusing on examining the effects of peer interventions on social communication in students with autism. For the research question and purpose of this action research, it was how does the use of peer interventions affect the communication and interaction skills of students diagnosed with autism? The context took place in a Broward County public elementary school with 4 students diagnosed with autism who participate in mainstream classrooms at least 2 hours a day. There were 4 typically developing peers that also participated, and all students were in the 3rd grade. The peer-mediated social interactions were used as interventions for this study. Peer-mediated interactions were used to help students with ASD to interact with their typically developing peers through teaching them social exchanges through modeling these social exchanges. The intervention took place over an 8-week period. Each of the 4 students diagnosed with autism were paired with one of their typically developing peers for the intervention. The social skills that were focused on were social initiation, turn-taking, asking questions, and responding. For data collection, teachers were given a survey pre, mid, and post-intervention to collect baseline data and compare the changes in the students with autism social communication skills. The 4 students with autism were given interviews both pre- and post-intervention to determine their attitudes on interacting with their peers. During the intervention, teachers kept frequency charts to keep track of how many times each specific social skill was observed. The frequency charts were averaged each week for the 4 students diagnosed with autism. Here is the data collection. As you can see, there's frequency charts for student A, student B, student C, and student D. And on the frequency charts, it lists weeks 1 through 8 and averages what the mainstream teacher and the inclusive classroom setting teacher collected. Also, as you can see, here are the teacher survey answers, pre, post, and mid-intervention, and the questionnaires for the students with their answers, how they changed pre and post-intervention. For findings, we found that the results of this study were similar to those found in a previous study done by Banda and Hart. While social initiations decreased or remained about the same, there was an increase in responses from all 4 students during the social interactions, which you can also see on their charts. Responses can lead to more lengthy and meaningful conversations between peers. Throughout this study, the results show that while there was an increase in responses from participants, the social initiation, turn-taking, and asking questions remained relatively the same, with only a slight increase in the frequency, which you can also see here by looking at the orange, gray, and blue lines. The limitations of this study were that the biggest limitation of the study was the number of interruptions and strict guidelines that had to be followed in both the general education and ESC inclusive classroom due to the Florida Standards Assessment, or FSA. This meant that the students were not given as many opportunities to interact with their peers as they would have in another grade level or possibly at another time throughout the year. Since 3rd grade is required to participate in the Keystone and Portfolio activities, which are individual assignments, they were not given enough opportunities. Another limitation to the study is the limited amount of students diagnosed with ASD that participated. Adding more participants diagnosed with ASD would be very beneficial. Implications. Using structured peer interventions can increase responses in conversations with students diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder and their typically developing peers. Students showed a slight increase in turn-taking and social initiations. However, the numbers could indicate other factors and limitations, such as very few opportunities for interaction due to scheduling conflicts. These results could also implicate a difference in personality types. With such a small population participating in the study, it is possible that the participating students were shy or more reserved. By adding more participants, it is more likely to get more diverse personalities, which could also affect results. Future interventions should be scheduled and planned to allow for adequate time for the intervention. as well as take into consideration possible interruptions and required state testing. Scheduling with the ample time to allow for these interruptions would allow students to have more opportunities for interaction and socialization. Many of these activities do not allow for interactions, which could very likely skew the results of the intervention. By scheduling for more designated interaction times, the students have a better chance to have more accurate results. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.